Chapter 111, Ninth Level of the Body Integration Realm, Demon Lord Visits. Although Hanju had stayed in the Jade Pure sect for hundreds of years, he didn't know many people. The ones he knew could even be counted with one hand. Li Qingzi was one of them. If not for his arrangements, the spirit chi in the Immortal Mountain would not be so abundant. Of course, Li Qingzi also obtained the assurance and protection of the Jade Pure sect from Hanju. Hanju also hoped that he could walk on the path of cultivation. Li Qingzi was very happy to receive his agreement. He asked a few more questions and then left. It was a huge matter for the Jade Pure sect to change its name to Jade Pure Sacred Sect. At that time, the entire sect would hold a banquet. The elders hoped that Hanju could preach the Tao for the disciples, but he rejected them. Hanju did not want to show himself. It was good now. Although deity-slaying elder was famous, the disciples did not know his appearance. When he had nothing to do, he could still wander around the inner city. After Li Qingzi left, Hanju thought of Changyuer, who had left with Taoist 9 cauldrons. After this senior sister who had always liked him went overseas, she spent most of her time cultivating and rarely participated in the sect's conflicts. The heavenly puppet that Hanju had given her had not been used. Even if she was in danger, she relied on herself to survive. With the heavenly puppet paying attention to her, Hanju would occasionally understand her situation. Hanju used it to send a voice transmission to Changyuer, asking her to return with Taoist 9 cauldrons. Changyuer heard his voice and was extremely excited. At this moment, she was hugging the heavenly puppet in her cave abode like it was a doll. Junior, how's the situation in the Jade Pure sect? How's your cultivation? So you can talk to me through the puppet. In the first few years, I called you, but you didn't answer? Changyuer asked with a smile. The heavenly puppet replied, I can't protect you after I use up my spirit energy. That's all. Wait. No matter how Changyuer called, Hanju didn't respond. Changyuer curled her lips and snorted. Stupid junior brother, you're so concerned about me, and yet you're not willing to admit it. It's good that you're so cold. I guess Xing Hongxian and Mo Zhu often get rejected, too. Wait for me to return, junior brother. Don't even think about escaping from me. Hee hee. Thinking of this, Changyuer smiled even more brightly. After a while, a deep voice came from outside. Junior sister, there's a great expert from the Scarlet Dragon Immortal Island giving a lecture recently. I have an invitation to enter the island. Do you want to go? I can bring you there. Changyuer's smile vanished when she heard that. She coldly said, Thank you for your kind intentions, senior brother. I won't be going. I've gained some insights from my cultivation recently. I have to study them well. Her tone was completely different from before. All right, I'll visit you next time. If I find any good treasures on the Scarlet Dragon Immortal Island, I'll bring them to you. There's no need for the trouble, senior brother. Don't say that. Ha ha ha, I'll be leaving first. You can continue cultivating. Changyuer cursed him for not knowing what was good for him. He didn't cultivate properly and kept pestering her. The next time you come back, I'll already be back by my handsome junior brother's side. In a dark cave, 5 figures sat together. One of them was Xian Qingjun. A black-robed elder said, Great Sage Green Python is dead. He died in a sect called the Jade Pure sect in the Great Yin. What do you think about this? Xian Qingjuan's expression did not change. She did not seem to recognize the Jade Pure sect. Great Sage Green Python is my master's beast pet. Letting him slaughter the humans of the 10 prefectures and 9 dynasties is also part of our plan. We must take revenge for this. Although the humans of the other 10 prefectures and 9 dynasties are either dead or injured, the human race has yet to completely disintegrate. We have to find another way, a black figure said in a low voice. It was impossible to tell if he was a human or a ghost. A burly monk beside him sneered. His bald head was covered in scars that looked like they were crawling with centipedes. He looked terrifying. He snorted. Great Sage Green Python was too arrogant. By relying on Taoist Juyan's Dharma treasure, he really thought that he was invincible. It's good that he's dead. it's still not enough to rely on the demons alone. If we want to defeat the human cultivation world, we still have to rely on the humans themselves. I propose to support the human fiendish cultivators and facilitate the infighting among the humans." A white-haired woman nodded. She wore red clothes and had pale skin. She looked more like a female ghost. She revealed a cold smile and said, "Agreed." The black-robed elder looked at Xian Qingjun and asked, "Demon Lord, what do you think?" Xian Qingjun nodded. "I have no objections. I've been to the netherworld before. The devil race is getting impatient." Upon hearing this, the black-robed elder, the white-haired woman, the black shadow, and the scarred monk frowned. "Leave the Jade Pure sect to me. I'll leave the rest to you," Xian Qingjun continued. The black-robed elder replied, "Yes, we have to figure out the background of that mysterious cultivator from the Jade Pure sect. If it's not beneficial to our plan, Demon Lord, I hope you will try your best to kill him." Xian Qingjun nodded, expressionless. Cultivation paid no regard to time. 10 years in the mortal world was sufficient for a whole new generation. Another 5 years passed, and the slaughter caused by Great Sage Green Python finally came to an end. The Jade Pure sect was renamed the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and became the publicly recognized cultivation holy land of the Great Yen cultivation world. More and more cultivators joined the sect, and many of them came from other states. After changing the name, the Jade Pure sect became stronger. Hanju finally broke through to the 9th level of the body integration realm. He was excited because the Tribulation Transcendence realm was right in front of him. To celebrate, he took out the Book of Misfortune and habitually cursed, Vermilion Bird, Mo Yuling, Daoist Juyan. None of them were spared. While cursing, he checked his emails. Your pet, the Chaotic Heavenly Dog, was attacked by demons, X28211. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X3779. Your friend Demo Fuzhou was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X3644. Your good friend Zhou Fan was seriously injured. His life is hanging by a thread. Due to your curse, your enemy Mo Yuling's Dao heart has been damaged. She has encountered inner demons and her cultivation has greatly decreased. Your disciple Su Qi was attacked by a demon king and was severely injured. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck and the demon king was killed by a cultivator passing by. Your Dao companion Xing Hongxian obtained an opportunity and entered the Grotto Heaven Blessed Land. Hanju was amused. Mo Yuling's cultivation had fallen greatly. How wonderful! Unfortunately, nothing had happened to Vermilion Bird and Daoist Juyan yet. Hanju noticed Xing Hongshuan's situation. More than 10 years ago, Hanju had set Xing Hongxian as his Dao companion. Her favorability had already reached 6 stars, and she had been physically intimate with him. She could be set as his Dao companion directly. As for Mo Zhu, Hanju had yet to set her as his Dao companion. Xing Hongxian often offered him treasures, and Mo Zhu would occasionally cause trouble for him. In Hanju's heart, Xing Hongxian was naturally more important. This woman must have been influenced by my immortal emperor descendant's Providence. Her luck is really good, Hanju thought silently. At the same time, he started to look forward to what treasures Xing Hongxian would bring him. That seemed an improper thought. Half a month later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune and habitually tested the strongest person in the Jade Pure sect other than him. Xian Qingjun, 8th level of the Mahayana realm, known as the Demon Lord. Hanju was stunned. Why was she back? This was not her mortal body. The 8th level of the Mahayana realm was so blinding to see, Hanju became nervous. He immediately used his divine sense to search for her. The demoness was resting in the inner city inn. Hanju thought for a moment and decided to go. He couldn't avoid it. However, he stopped when he reached the entrance, decided to try the simulation trial first and see if he could defeat Xian Qingjun. Chapter 112, Tribulation Transcendence Realm, Ascension. In the inner sect city, inside the inn, Hanju saw Xian Qingjun. This demoness' face was still the same as before. She wasn't beautiful, but she wasn't ugly either. In conclusion, she was ordinary. Although he was already at the 9th level of the body integration realm, Hanju was still very nervous when facing her. He kept all his numinous treasures active. At this point, he couldn't hide it anymore. After all, Xian knew that he was the deity-slaying elder. She might have already spoken to Xian Qingjun. You're the deity-slaying elder of the Jade Pure sect? You killed Great Sage Green Python? Xian Qingjun held the wine cup and asked while swirling it. Her expression was calm, making it impossible to read her thoughts. Hanju nodded slightly. He panicked internally. He did not understand Xian Qingjun's personality and intentions. Most importantly, he was no match for her in the simulation trial. This woman was like a completely different person in battle. It was too terrifying. No wonder she was called the Demon Lord. I underestimated you. You were able to kill Great Sage Green Python. Have you reached the Tribulation Transcendence Realm? Xian Qingjun asked. She couldn't see through Hanju's cultivation. Under the concealment of the system, Hanju's cultivation had always been at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. Hanju shook his head and said, I just reached the 9th level of the Body Integration Realm. Xian Qingjun finally smiled and clicked her tongue in wonder. I didn't expect you to be a rare genius. That's good. You're more suitable to be my companion now. Your Dao companion Xian Qingjun's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Hanju secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Xian Qingjun waved her right hand, and 3 bottles of pills appeared on the table. These are all elixirs suitable for cultivating in the Tribulation Transcendence Realm. Take them. Xian Qingjun chuckled. Hanju didn't stand on ceremony. He took the 3 bottles of pills and asked, Did you come for me? Xian Qingjun said, Yes and no. I'm here for Great Sage Green Python's matter. This demon has a powerful background. I'm here to avenge him. From now on, if anyone asks, you can't admit that you killed him. I've already killed his murderer, understand? Hanju frowned. Daoist Juyan still had connections in the mortal world, to be able to order the Mahayana Realm Demon Lord to personally take action. This matter was not simple. As if seeing through Hanju's worries, Xian Qingjun said calmly, As long as you deny it, I will stop those people. Cultivate well and don't worry. Hanju nodded. The atmosphere turned silent. Xian Qingjun smiled and stared at Hanju. He felt awkward and looked elsewhere. After a while, he couldn't help but take out the golden wooden staff. This is Great Sage Green Python's treasure. I'll give it to you. This treasure isn't simple. Keeping it would only attract trouble. Xian Qingjun raised her eyebrows and smiled. This treasure is indeed extraordinary. I can take it back and let those people believe that the real murderer is dead. As soon as she finished speaking, she placed the golden wooden staff into her storage ring and stood up. The world is about to undergo a change. Cultivate well. You're my Dao companion. Even if the world is destroyed, I can still protect you. Xian Qingjun walked to the window and prepared to leave. Hanju hurriedly asked, Can I know the name of the person who wants to avenge Great Sage Green Python? Xian Qingjun stopped and glanced at him. Luo Qioma. She then vanished from the window. Hanju used the simulation trial and discovered that she was no longer within 100 miles of the sect. She left so quickly. Hanju immediately stood up and left. After returning to the cave abode, he took out the Book of Misfortune and began cursing Luo Qioma. 3 years later, Hanju raised his cultivation level to the perfected 9th level of the Body Integration Realm and prepared to break through to the Tribulation Transcendence Realm. According to the records of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique, the heavenly tribulation of the Tribulation Transcendence Realm lasted several times longer than the Body Integration Realms and was also several times more powerful. He hesitated. The Tribulation Transcendence Realm's heavenly tribulation was definitely terrifying. If he went to the 10,000 Demon Realm again, he might destroy it. Hanju got up and walked out of the cave abode. The Black Hell Chicken, Yang Tiandong, Sun Cheng'an, and Morong Chi were still cultivating. Ever since the battle between Hanju and Great Sage Green Python ended, the 4 of them were determined to cultivate diligently and never go out again. Hanju didn't talk to them and went down the mountain directly, found a cave abode halfway up the mountain where Li Qingzi lived, Taoist. 9 cauldrons had yet to return, but Li Qingzi had moved here several years ago. Upon hearing Hanju's voice, Li Qingzi immediately opened the cave abode's door and invited Hanju in. Sect Master, is there any place nearby suitable for transcending the tribulation? It's best if there's no one within 100 miles. Hanju went straight to the point. To Li Qingzi's eyes lit up. Transcending the tribulation, this meant a major breakthrough, Li Qingzi said in a low voice. There's a plain in the east of the sect. Due to the constant rain, there are many poisonous bugs and beasts. Cultivators rarely go there, but you can undergo tribulation there. I'll bring you there. Hanju nodded. The two of them quickly left the Immortal Mountain. Under the Fusong tree, Morongqi asked in surprise, why did Grandmaster and Sect Master go out? The black hell chicken sitting on the tree branch harumphed. He's definitely about to break through. Master's cultivation speed is faster than yours even when he's at a higher cultivation level. Don't you feel ashamed? Morongqi pouted, what about you? I feel like you haven't made any breakthroughs either. Yang Tiandong snapped, the black hell chicken shouted, I'm stronger than you. So what? This master chicken is stronger than you. You, Yang Tiandong was furious. He could only angrily turn around and cultivate with his back facing the chicken. He didn't want to see its smug face. The chicken and dog under master were too annoying. Half a day later, Hanju and Li Qingzi arrived at a plain covered in rain. You can go back first. I need time to transcend the tribulation, Hanju said. Li Qingzi hesitated and then asked, you don't need me to protect you? If there's an enemy that can interfere with my tribulation, can you block it? That makes sense. Goodbye. After Li Qingzi left, Hanju continued flying forward. The rain continued to pour, and he could see a thick fog on the horizon that stretched as far as the eye could see. The sparse trees on the plains were filled with all sorts of poisonous insects. Occasionally, one could see some demonic beasts that had yet to gain human form running on the grass. Not long after, Hanju chose a place and sat in the air. He started to circulate his energy and prepared to transcend the tribulation. 6 hours later, the heavenly tribulation had arrived. With Hanju's numinous treasures and his own strength, it was almost impossible for him to perish in the heavenly tribulation unless someone took the opportunity to ambush him. Although no one was stronger than him in the Great Yen, he was always worried. According to some of the cultivation novels he had read, the new plot would begin when the protagonists' tribulation was disturbed. A month later, Hanju successfully transcended the tribulation and entered the tribulation transcendence realm. At the same time, he knew that he was not the scripted protagonist of a novel. Like Zhou Fan, you have successfully broken through to the tribulation transcendence realm. You have the following choices. 1. Prepare to ascend. You can go to the 3 realms. You can obtain a numinous treasure and a heavenly Tao spirit stone. 2. Continue cultivating and break through to the Mahayana realm. You can obtain a numinous treasure and a mystical power inheritance. He could ascend after reaching the tribulation transcendence realm. Hanju couldn't help but think of the vermilion bird and Taoist Juyan. Those two were still waiting for him in the upper realm. How could he ascend? Chapter 113, 100,000 Years of Lifespan, Son of Heaven and Earth. Hanju silently chose to continue cultivating and not ascend for the time being. You chose to continue cultivating and break through to the Mahayana realm. You have obtained a numinous treasure and a mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining the Grand Unity Numinous Treasure, Purple Gold Soft Armor. Congratulations on obtaining the Mystical Power, Universe in the Sleeves, Purple Gold Soft Armor, 8th Grade Grand Unity Defensive Numinous Treasure. Extremely strong defensive power. Universe in the Sleeves. Your sleeves contain heaven and earth. Can absorb the yin, yang, and all things in heaven and earth. A defensive numinous treasure, a grand unity treasure, awesome, Hanju thought happily. It was just that this defense was extremely strong and difficult to test, but it was fine. The simulation trial had already copied Xian Qingjuan's cultivation level. He could test it using her. Hanju didn't inherit the mystical power but consolidated his cultivation first. after reaching the Tribulation Transcendence Realm, his spirit energy could be said to have increased by more than 10 times. During the process of consolidating his cultivation, many memories appeared in Hanju's mind. The method of ascension, with his own providence, he could trigger the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao could help him transcend the mortal world and ascend to the upper world. Not only could Hanju go to the upper world, but he could also go to the underworld and other planes. He should have something to do with the path he had chosen previously, no matter which world it was. Hanju didn't want to go for the time being. Being at the top here was better than starting at the bottom elsewhere. He had finally reached the top-notch level in the present world, but now, he had to jump into the higher realms to become a stepping stone for others. Impossible. After all, he still had a long lifespan. Thinking of his lifespan, Hanju checked his attributes panel. Name, Hanju. Lifespan, 478/109,200. Race, human. Mortal transcendence stage, cultivation. Level 1 of the Tribulation Transcendence Realm. Technique, 6 paths of reincarnation, can be inherited. Magic, unparalleled finger divine sword, 7 illusionary steps, 3 pure shadow sword, unparalleled, 9 dragons. Devil expelling seal, major kiliocosm thunderstorm, wind god technique, still phase technique, mystical power, 6 paths soul absorption, heavenly punishment ghost deity sword, imitate heaven and earth, somersault cloud, 10,000 sword sect, can be inherited. Tathagata incantation, 6 paths ultimate seal, firmament sword chi, heaven earth mystic yellow world piercing sword finger, universe in the sleeves. Equipment, golden cicadas mystic divine robe, 7th grade numinous treasure. Little universe belt, Qilin sword, demon binding rope, burning fiend bell, 6th grade numinous treasure. 9 stars spirit trampling boots, 5th grade numinous treasure. Frost lord's glazed crown, 4th grade numinous treasure. Book of misfortune, supreme grade numinous treasure. Earth emperor's soul ward, 3rd grade numinous treasure. Heart protecting immortal chain, 3rd grade numinous treasure. Calm meditation mat, grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure. Heavenly spirit bracelet, supreme grade numinous treasure. Purple gold soft armor, grand unity 8th grade numinous treasure. Self-created mystical power, 3 pure world cleansing, grand unity. Birth dharma treasure, primordial judgment sword, cultivation potential, spiritual physique of the 6 paths. It contains top-notch wind, fire, water, earth, wood, and thunder cultivation potentials. Increases providence to a certain extent. Connate providence is as follows: unparalleled, immortal beauty, top-notch charm, destined sword fanatic, top-notch sword Dao aptitude, top-notch sword Dao learning ability, unparalleled movement technique, top-notch movement technique aptitude, descendant of the immortal emperor. After the game begins, you will receive an unparalleled cultivation technique, 109/200 years of lifespan. Hanju seriously suspected that this was due to the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. He had never heard of cultivators living for 100,000 years, was only at the Tribulation Transcendence Realm. When he broke through to the Mahayana realm, how much longer would his lifespan increase? Hanju perked up and started to focus on consolidating his cultivation. 7 days later, his cultivation had completely stabilized. He had become a true Tribulation Transcendence Realm cultivator. He looked up and saw that the grasslands had been charred black by the heavenly lightning. There were potholes everywhere, and it was no longer raining. Not only had the heavenly tribulation changed the landscape, but it had also changed the climate here. Hanju started to return. Not long after, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Detected bearer of connate providence, check its origin. Connate providence, Hanju couldn't help but become curious. It had been a long time since he had encountered someone with connate providence. Immediately chose to check. Feng Liang, 3rd level of the Qi refinement realm, the son of heaven and earth. He was born with the providence of heaven and earth and is protected by it. Because the providence is too great, his physical body and soul cannot bear it. Once he breaks through to the golden core realm, the providence of heaven and earth will manifest. From then on, he will rise up with unstoppable momentum. Son of heaven and earth, what the heck? Hanju raised his eyebrows. He suspected that he had seen wrongly. He looked carefully. certain that he had not seen wrong. Is this the protagonist of an overpowered main character novel? Hanju immediately used his divine sense to search. Soon, he caught sight of Feng Liang. Feng Liang hid in a forest and looked in his direction. Hanju arrived in front of him in a flash, scaring him so much that he hurriedly retreated. This person looked to be only 17 or 18 years old. His face still had a hint of childishness. This junior didn't mean to disturb you. This junior apologizes for bothering your tribulation. Feng Liang hurriedly knelt down and begged for mercy. Hanju was speechless. This is the son of heaven and earth, so cowardly. Hanju said expressionlessly, your cultivation is so weak. Why are you here? Feng Liang asked in fear. To be honest, I'm an itinerant cultivator. I wanted to join the Jade Pure sect and happened to pass by here. Hanju looked at him deeply and threw a deity slaying token in front of him. Our encounter is fate. When you enter the Jade Pure sacred sect, you can take out this token. Hanju disappeared after saying this. Although he was the son of heaven and earth, Hanju didn't think too highly of him. By the time Feng Liang went on a rampage, Hanju might have already become an immortal. Feng Liang picked up the deity slaying token and saw the 2 words on it. His expression changed drastically as he muttered, could he be the deity slaying elder of the Jade Pure sacred sect that the cultivators in the market are talking about? A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. Feng Liang has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability. For stars, when a person was still weak, it was easy for him to feel admiration when he received the guidance of an expert for no reason. After returning to the Immortal Mountain, Hanju ignored the black-held chicken, Sun Cheng'an, and the others and returned to his cave abode like a gust of wind, sat on the bed and immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing. This was something worth celebrating. Heaven and Earth Grass said excitedly, Master, you're finally back. After Hanju left for so long, it was worried that it had been abandoned. How's your cultivation recently? Hanju asked. This grass was already at the 8th level of the Qi refinement realm. It was quite talented, Heaven and Earth Grass replied. While cultivating, I will always recall some cultivation memories. It seems like a cultivation technique. Hanju was not surprised. After all, Heaven and Earth Grass had once comprehended Tao with the immortal God. If there's anything wrong, let me know. Yes, Master. The news of Hanju breaking through to the Tribulation Transcendence realm did not spread. Li Qingzi also did not spread this news everywhere and cultivated in seclusion all day. Several days later, Feng Liang arrived at the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Due to the deity slaying token, he directly became an inner sect disciple. Feng Liang asked about the deity slaying elder's residence and how his disciples succeeded in getting under his wing. Soon, he found a way and knelt before the stone tablet at the foot of the Immortal Mountain. He wasn't the only one. More than 10 people were also kneeling. Ever since the death of Great Sage Green Python, the number of disciples who wanted to take Hanju as their master increased exponentially. Every once in a while, disciples would come to kowtow to him. This had already become a characteristic of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. However, the elders strictly forbade any commotion near the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. If it was serious, they would be expelled. Hanju noticed Feng Liang's arrival and hesitated, wondering if he should accept the youth as his disciple. Chapter 114 Providence Bearers Everywhere, Su Qi's Return. Hanju thought about it and ignored him. The son of heaven and earth looked powerful, but if he had the same temperament as Yang Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog, it would only cause more trouble for him. It was not worth it. Hanju didn't need to rely on the power of others. Anyway, after thinking, he closed his eyes again and continued cultivating. Time passed. After Xian Qingjun left, Luo Qioma, who wanted to avenge Great Sage Green Python, did not appear. It seemed that she had settled everything as the Jade Pure Sacred Sect became stronger. Hanju no longer encountered any trouble that he had to deal with. He could focus on cultivating. 5 years passed quickly. At the foot of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain, the disciples kneeling had changed to a new batch. But Feng Liang was still there. Hanju was a little surprised. He didn't expect this son of heaven and earth to be so patient. He stood up and walked out of the abode. He found Sun Chang'an and asked, "Do you still want to take in a disciple?" Yang Tiandong, the black hell chicken, and Murong Qi opened their eyes upon hearing this. Sun Chang'an hesitated. "Master, do you want me to accept one?" Teaching Murong Qi already made him very anxious, because Murong Qi's talent was stronger than his and his cultivation had already caught up. In the future, his disciple would be stronger than his master. If word got out, how embarrassed would he feel? If he took in another disciple, it would delay his cultivation as well. "Master, do you want me to take a disciple?" Yang Tiandong asked with a smile. He was tempted by Murong Qi's talent. Hanju glared at him and said angrily, "If I give him to you, I'm afraid I'll be giving the Demon Kings a grandson." Yang Tiandong lowered his head in shame. "All right, master. Who do you want me to accept? A disciple from the foot of the mountain?" Sun Chang'an said helplessly. Hanju waved his hand and moved Feng Liang up the mountain. Feng Liang's cultivation was weak. After kneeling for 5 years, he collapsed on the ground and couldn't even stand up. He was excited when he saw Hanju. "Senior, are you willing to take me as your disciple?" Feng Liang asked excitedly. Murong Qi said disdainfully, "Disciple? You can only be my junior." Feng Liang was stunned. Hanju instructed Sun Chang'an, "You can teach him the Jade Pure technique. He's not allowed to leave the mountain before the Golden Core Realm." With that, he walked back to the cave abode. At this point, Feng Liang became Sun Chang'an's disciple and became the second grand disciple. After returning to the cave abode, Hanju sat on the bed and rubbed his chin and thought. His eldest disciple, Yang Tiandong, had the bloodline of a demon saint. His second disciple, Su Qi, was the reincarnation of the Jinx of the heavenly court. His third disciple, Sun Chang'an, was the reincarnation of the ancient spiritual ginseng. His first grand disciple, Murong Qi, was a reincarnated war god of the divine palace. His title was Profound Truth Divine Emperor. His second grand disciple, Feng Liang, was the son of heaven and earth. The black hell chicken was the reincarnation of an upper world demon saint. Its true form was the black hell phoenix. The chaotic heavenly dog was a divine beast of Providence. There was also heaven and earth grass who could become an immortal. Wow, this was a grand lineup of Providence bearers. Unknowingly, Hanju had already gathered so many high potential followers. Among them, the strongest should be Murong Qi. Why don't I ascend after they develop? Or let them ascend first and support me in the future? Hanju thought silently. He shook his head and laughed. He stopped thinking and continued cultivating. Another 3 years passed. Taoist 9 Cauldrons returned with a group of disciples, including Changyuer. This matter caused quite a stir in the sect. Changyuer wanted to visit Fairy Xixien, but when she learned that she had already moved to the same mountain as Hanju, she couldn't help but frown. Something was wrong. Despite all her planning, she failed to guard against her master. The more Changyuer thought about it, the more panicked she became. Thinking back, Hanju was very indifferent to everyone except Fairy Xixien. Could it be that Hanju rejected her, Mo Zhu, and Xing Hongxian because he liked Fairy Xixien? Changyuer hurriedly looked for someone to inquire about the situation. She only heaved a sigh of relief when she learned that the sect master had also moved to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. Guess I'm overthinking. Junior brother is not someone who will fall in love so easily. Changyuer immediately headed to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. Hanju opened the mountain protecting array formation and led her into the cave abode. The moment the black hell chicken saw Changyuer, its head shrank. It remembered that when it was young, Were would often touch its head and even tug at its feathers. It could be said to be a childhood nightmare. Junior brother, long time no see. Changyuer shouted excitedly and immediately pounced at Hanju. Hanju raised his hand and stopped her. He said helplessly, "Senior sister, what are you trying to do?" After leaving for so long, Changyuer's cultivation level increased very quickly. She was already at the 9th level of the Golden Core Realm. Most importantly, Changyuer also had talent in refining talismans, spirit arrays, cultivation, alchemy, and so on. It could be said to be a comprehensive development. "I missed you," Changyuer grumbled. She was shocked. What kind of technique was this? It actually made her unable to move. If junior brother was to do something to her now, sigh. Unfortunately, he was heartless. Hanju let go of her. The two of them sat on the bed and started chatting. Changyuer talked about her experiences in the past few years. Hanju listened carefully and learned about the situation overseas. The overseas sect where Taoist Nine Cauldrons was located was not harmonious. There were also enemies, and several disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred sect had died. Hanju was secretly glad that he didn't leave with Taoist Nine Cauldrons. If that was the case, there would be endless trouble, and his cultivation level would definitely not be as high as now. The two of them chatted for a long time. Before leaving, Hanju asked her to move to this mountain. Changyuer agreed happily. Then, she went out to choose a location and opened a cave abode. Perhaps Hanju was thinking too much, but Changyuer chose the cave abode between Fairy Shixian and Xinghongxian. There was almost no difference in distance between the two. Fairy Shixian and Xinghongxian had gone out to adventure not long ago and had yet to return. Changyuer's return was only a small incident and did not disturb Hanju's Dao heart. Hanju didn't take the time to cultivate his feelings with Changyuer. Instead, he continued cultivating. Love was nothing to him. Cultivation was the most important. Only by becoming stronger would those who liked him like him more. Women would never occupy the most important place in his heart. Under the dusk, on the mountain path. Suchi held his sword and walked forward. His expression was tired and travel-worn. He was rushing towards the Great Yen. For some reason, he felt that the return journey was even more dangerous than when he had first left. He had recently encountered many fiendish cultivators, all of whom were extremely evil. Suchi couldn't help but glance at the old man on the nearby mountain peak. This person was the Tribulation Transcendence Realm cultivator he had encountered in the ruins of the demon taming sect. His name was Dooku. Dooku felt regret at the demon taming sect's destruction. If he couldn't fulfill his wish, when he ascended one day, this would become a mental demon. Thus, he followed Suchi and wanted to take him as a disciple. Suchi already had a master. How could he agree? Dooku did not force him. He followed along and helped Suchi kill many fiendish cultivators. Suchi understood Dooku's personality. He wouldn't rely on his cultivation to suppress a junior, so he dared to joke with him. The two of them were like rivals now, often fighting and even breaking up before making up again. Stop! Dooku suddenly shouted, causing Suchi to shiver in fear. He hurriedly stopped and looked around vigilantly, guarding against enemy attacks. Dooku arrived in front of him in a flash. His expression was dark as he said, "Luo Chioma, why are you staring at my disciple? What do you want?" Following his gaze, a black shadow appeared under the shade of the tree ahead. It was difficult to make out its true appearance. The figure was horrifying, like a ghost. Your disciple? Isn't this the Devil Master's disciple? Dooku, if you want to ascend without a hitch, then obediently go away. This guy is mine. Chapter 115, Door of Reincarnation, Lifespan Reduction Effect. Devil Master's disciple? Dooku looked at Suchi with a strange expression. No wonder this fellow didn't agree to it. He was still puzzled earlier. Could Suchi's master be more powerful than him? Suchi frowned, equally puzzled. Ever since the Devil Master had left him with the cultivation technique, he had not appeared again. He even suspected that the Devil Master was dead. Suchi took a deep breath and looked at Luo Chioma. Why are you looking for me? Luo Chioma smiled teasingly. I'll give you an opportunity, a great opportunity. Suchi's eyes shimmered as he weighed the pros and cons. Dooku frowned, not knowing what to do. Senior, you can leave. Thank you for taking care of me during this period. Suchi looked at Dooku and said seriously. He could tell that Dooku was very afraid of Luo Chioma and did not have a firm attitude, so he did not want to make things difficult for him. Dooku hesitated. Suchi thought for a moment and said, if you really want to resolve the issue in your heart regarding the demon taming sect, then go to the Great Yen and serve the Jade Pure sect for a period of time. I came from there and later joined the demon taming sect. The Jade Pure sect is equivalent to my hometown. Dooku sighed. He was finally going to ascend, so he naturally could not give up his bright future for a junior, eh? The Jade Pure sect? Luo Qiuma thought in surprise. Didn't the person who killed his master's pet come from there? Was this a coincidence, or was it fate? Su Qi looked at Luo Qiuma and said, "Take me away." Somehow, Luo Qiuma met his gaze and felt inexplicably uneasy. 3 years after Changyue returned, Hanju had completely mastered the 8th level of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. The 8th level of the cultivation technique was extremely profound and involved a lot of the true meaning of yin and yang. All these years, he had been cultivating while absorbing qi and comprehending the 8th level of the cultivation technique. After cultivating the 8th level, a huge wave of memories surged into Hanju's mind. Mystical power. Some of the specific realms of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique contained mystical powers. The previous 6 paths soul absorption and 6 paths insignia had benefited Hanju greatly. He was looking forward to the mystical power this time. Hanju entered a mysterious state of enlightenment. Heaven and earth grass shook slightly. Several days later, Hanju had mastered a new technique, Door of Reincarnation. As the name suggested, he could step into the door of the 6 paths of reincarnation. He could directly throw his soul into the 6 paths of reincarnation and also use it to step into the netherworld. This mystical power is incredible. Hanju was in a good mood. With this ability, he could escape to the netherworld if he couldn't win in the future. He loved defensive and escape methods the most. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Luo Qiuma. After him were Daoist Juyan, Vermilion Bird, and Mo Yuling. They enjoyed their turn one by one. Hanju cursed as he checked his emails regularly. Your divine pet, the chaotic heavenly dog, was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X10023. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou accidentally entered the ancient forbidden ground and was entangled by an ominous force. Your good friend Zhou Fan is being hunted by 3 sections. He burned his blood essence and has developed the evil heart. Your Tao companion, Xing Hongxian, has comprehended the true meaning of the blessed land. Her comprehension has increased greatly. Because of your curse, your enemy, Daoist Juyan, has suffered a decline in his luck. His chances of encountering inner demons have increased. Your disciple Su Qi spread bad luck. Together with your curse, Luo Qiuma's lifespan has decreased by 1,000 years. This effect will continue to grow. Your grand disciple, Morong Qi, created his own mystical power. His providence has increased greatly. Interesting. It was no longer just people getting beaten up. There were more events now. What did ominous power mean? Evil spirits. Hanju couldn't help but mourn for his brother-in-law. Xing Hongshuan's comprehension ability had increased. It seemed that the blessed land she had gone to was not simple. Seeing that Daoist Juyan and Luo Qiuma were successfully cursed by him, Hanju was so happy that he wanted to clap his hands. Wait, Su Qi is spreading bad luck to Luo Qiuma. What a coincidence. The two of them met. Hanju hesitated. Of the 4 daily targets, he had been the most ruthless to Luo Qiuma. He wasn't afraid that the curse would go wrong, for, in the process, he had imbued the Book of Misfortune with his own will. Luo Qiuma had a karmic relationship with Xian Qingjun. Hanju suddenly had a bold idea. Could it be because of the curse of the Book of Misfortune that Luo Qiuma met Su Qi? The power of karma was the most bizarre and mysterious Tao of the laws in the world. Hanju couldn't figure it out and decided not to think about it anymore. It would be best if Luo Qiuma died. Only then would there be no possibility of him seeking revenge. Although Xian Qingjun promised, Hanju never placed his hopes on others. It was best if his enemy was dead, or there would be no end to trouble. A month later, Hanju summoned his disciples into the cave abode. The black-haired chicken followed. Hanju asked them to find a place to sit down. Feng Liang almost stepped on heaven and earth grass as it cried out in shock, causing him to shiver. This is an immortal grass that I'm raising. Be careful. Hanju frowned. Feng Liang was so frightened that his face turned pale. He was afraid of offending Hanju. The black-haired chicken came before heaven and earth grass and asked curiously, Master, when did you start raising it? Hanju said calmly, I forgot already. I called you here today to preach the Tao to you. If you have any questions regarding cultivation, you can ask. After reaching the Tribulation Transcendence realm, his cultivation speed slowed down. He could spare some time to teach his disciples now. Hearing this, everyone was pleasantly surprised and thanked him. The preaching began. Hanju explained his sword Dao to them. Although there were very few pure sword cultivators, most cultivators knew how to practice the sword. The sword was the lord of all weapons and suited the temperament of cultivators. 7 days later, Hanju stopped talking. All the disciples were enlightened, including the black hell chicken. Hanju began to answer their questions. 10 days later, the disciples walked out of the cave abode. Grand Master's cultivation is truly profound. Morongqi sighed, his face full of admiration. Feng Liang nodded. Yang Tiandong clenched his fists. He made up his mind to never have any distracting thoughts in the future. He wanted to cultivate well with Hanju. Listening to his lecture was better than wandering outside for 100 years. Sun Cheng'an didn't say a word. He walked to the edge of the cliff and began cultivating the heartless flying sword. Inside the connate cave abode, Hanju took out the pill Xian Qingjun gave him. After taking it, he started to breathe in the heaven and earth spirit qi. Heaven and earth grass suddenly said, "Master, how about I become a sword cultivator in the future?" Sword cultivator grass, sure. Perhaps you will become the #1 swords grass in the 6 realms. Hanju smiled dotingly. When heaven and earth grass heard this, it became even more excited. Wishing to immediately transform, Hanju predicted that in at most 50 years, heaven and earth grass would be able to transform. It was all thanks to the spirit qi of the immortal mountain. All the disciples were cultivating in peace and thriving. This made Hanju very satisfied. This was the cultivation life that he yearned for. Such good times. Other than the chaotic heavenly dog not returning, he better not return. Surrounded by mountains, a massive altar rested on the flat ground. The chaotic heavenly dog was sprawled on the altar, bound by long, sharp vines. Its silver-white fur was dyed red. The altar was surrounded by fiendish cultivators. A middle-aged man in black Taoist robes pulled out a sword from his waist. He pointed the sword at the chaotic heavenly dog and said, "The auspicious hour is coming. With the blood of the gods, I summon the heart of the fiend. Are you all prepared to welcome the arrival of the Fiend Emperor? We await the arrival of the Fiend Emperor." All the fiendish cultivators shouted in unison, their faces filled with fanaticism.